Welcome to you, future leaders. This video will provide you with the leader's agenda to equip and guide you on your leadership journey.
A leader's agenda is based on how a leader actually leads. It asks what it is that leaders must do to lead effectively.
A leader's agenda is divided into three components: the head, heart, and hands. The head component is about understanding a leader's clarity of purpose. However, it's about more than saying what the organization's strategy is. It's about how you communicate the bigger picture. The head sets the direction for the people and sets the expectations for performance for a given leader. The heart component is about understanding how you keep people motivated, happy, and valued within an organization. The hand component is about motivating your team and/or your organization in ensuring that things get done and performance measures are met. It's about having a clarity of purpose and getting the leaders' followers to understand what it is we do and why. This video will now demonstrate our chosen leader, Nick Christelis' leader's agenda in terms of the head, heart, and hands model of leadership.
Nick, how do you ensure that the people that you lead execute your strategy?
So I like to involve people early on in the process of strategic thinking. Commonly what we will do is do a scan, as is classically done, of the environment with relation to our industry. This I do as a team, never alone, never only as an executive team. Always with the broader team. A lot of people will tell you you can't do 30 people in the room for strategy. Believe you me, I do it, and it works. And I like to have people talking to each other and supporting each other, and that's the way you get strategy executed. Otherwise, you have too many hurdles and obstacles.
How do you as a leader provide a sense of purpose for the group that you lead?
In my life, what the images I carry around in my head lead to my motivation and my behavior. And so I've always found it to be so important that somehow I've got to be communicating to my teams, to my people, in a way that allows them to have the same movie playing in their head as is playing in my head.
Nick, how do you set performance expectations for the people that you lead?
I need to make sure that everybody's clear on what is required of them. And the standards that are required. Sometimes what's in my head and what's in the leader's head, just because it's there, doesn't mean because you say it once that it automatically transplants into the follower's head. No, I've realized you've got to communicate, and I do it all the time. Yeah.
How would you involve someone?
By making sure that people understand the broad, large key metrics of the business. So they have to understand, and I sit down with them and invest the time to get them to see what the key metrics of the business are, the metrics that will determine the success of the business. I like to do it together with my teams so that when we walk out there, they were part of delivering on these metrics or standards or deciding on them. I have, I think, more regular meetings discussing broader strategy, discussing the metrics that plug into the broader strategy and the role that is expected from each one of my divisions, departments, to achieve that bigger strategy. I think I spend more time with that than most companies do, and I think that to me is one of the secrets to why I believe my leadership works.
We're going to go to the next item, which is leading from the heart. Basically, this talks about how you keep the people that you lead inspired, motivated, and valued within your organization.
So I spend and invest, again, a lot of time in connecting one-on-one with my people, on a person, not only on matters regarding the task at hand or the work, but as human beings. Right? I take the trouble to get to know each person as closely as I can. It doesn't mean that we have to be friends outside the business, but I like to know what their family life is about, how many children they have, what the children are doing, are they writing exams, do they have any problems, simply because I believe that if I can connect with them at a human level and they feel I'm interested enough to genuinely be interested in them, then they will commit themselves to me in the relationship. And this is what I found. So what do? I find I will walk around, I'll ask people how families are, I keep because I've got a lot of things to remember, so I keep a file where if there's anything personal that I find out about somebody, that I can make a note of it.
How do you keep your people that you lead on your side in terms of them willing to perform for you and with you and maintain good relationships with them?
This particular time we had a serious problem related to a customer, and this particular young man who was newly married with a young child in the house, he volunteered to what amounted to staying all night to do the work required to resolve the problem for the customer. But I sent the next day a bowl of flowers to his wife, to this young man's wife, thanking her for allowing her husband to spend the night with us to help solve a really serious problem, and that I was aware that you know they were newly married and have a young child in the house, and family time was important. And I sent them a voucher for dinner for two at a local restaurant, together with a bottle of wine. And to me, it's those kinds of things that say I care. That gets to the heart of people.
Next, we're going to talk about the hand component of leadership, about how you motivate your team and how you get them to perform to the standards that you need them to.
I go to the trouble to make sure that everybody understands that whatever we do plugs into the bigger picture. I put the goals up and I say, who is accountable for this, right? And I'm only happy when everybody says and understands every single one of us is. The accountability. They must all see the accountability. Why is it necessary, and why are they accountable to do it in a certain way, at a certain speed, to a certain standard, by a certain time? They need to understand that accountability very firmly. I involve people one layer down to a layer higher in meetings than what other companies might do, simply because I want them to be aware of what goes on, one level further up. Even if they're not adding any value there, it's a learning purpose and they quite understand. Then they come away thinking, well, there's a bigger thing that happens up there. So that's the one thing that I do to get them on board. I insist that they are trained on solving issues in an accountable way, which means that they stay away from the blame game. We train them. I make sure it is absolutely necessary that in my businesses, all the businesses I've had, people do accountability training in the way that I've just described to you. If you ask yourself, whenever you've achieved something, it's because the head, the heart, and the hands have been aligned.